All right, we're back. All right, we're back. We've just spent the last hour tracing the descent from the Sephiroth into the shadow, and frankly, the air in here feels heavy.
That's because we're looking at the cliff oath. Seth, it's not exactly a spa retreat.
Hey, I really enjoyed the vibe. It's like the part of the movie where the music gets all low and ominous right before the monster jumps out.
But look, we need to ground this. We're talking about the mechanics of command. The author, Koetting, is making a huge claim here about why these dark spheres even exist. He says their most important function is to teach hidden or secret sciences, specifically those that lead back to chaos or destruction.
Right? He's framing the Kalifkoth as a classroom, a brutal one. He says these secret operations are the keys to demonic power.
Demonic power. Such a loaded term. He's essentially saying that if you want the real, raw, unpolished truth, you have to go where the rules break down.
But look how he starts categorizing them. He's moving through the spheres like a tour guide through a haunted mansion. It gets to Thamiel the Ninth Cliffa-and, says it's the only one that exists on both the Tree of Life and the Tree of Death. It's the bridge.
It's the point where life and death, good and evil, fall and ascension are inseparable. It's a beautiful, if terrifying thought. It's that moment of total paradox.
But then he moves to Gaihil, and the tone shifts. He calls it the unregulated reflection of Chakma. He literally translates it as the hindering.
Spoken like a true pessimist.
No, but listen to what he says the result is. He says the energies here cause self-deception, delusion, and suppression. He's saying the very structure of this sphere is designed to prevent you from reaching your potential.
That's so visceral. He's describing a psychological trap, a cosmic concept. It's that feeling of being stuck in your own head, unable to see the truth because you're too busy lying to yourself.
And then we hit the heavy hitter, Thamiel, the split god.
This is where it gets really dark. He says the forces here create a great division between humanity and the divine. He says the lower is completely severed from the higher. The light literally cannot penetrate the darkness.
And he names the ruler Moloch, or Satan. He's not playing around with metaphors here. He's presenting a total rupture in a universe.
Wait, Sel. If the light can't get in, what's the point of the ritual? If the connection is severed, why are we even talking about evocation?
That's the pivot, Paco. This is the most important part of his argument. He says that while all this numerology might look grotesque or senseless, in a ritual context, it's indispensable. He claims that just by meditating on these names, you can force these energies into your life.
He's moving from theory to practice. He's saying the names are the tools.
But look at what he says about the proof. He claims most of these demons aren't even in the old books. He says they are discovered through the evocation of the Ardamin of that sphere.
So he's basically saying the best secrets aren't in the manual. You have enough to go out and find them yourself by talking to the boss?
Exactly. He's claiming the most potent knowledge is found in private diaries, not established grimoires. It's a very maverick approach. It contradicts the idea of a stable, inherited tradition. It's pure, unverified exploration.
And then he goes on the attack. He blames the stereotypes and fears about demons on, well, the church.
Here we go. The classic, it's all a conspiracy move.
He's quite blunt about it. He says the church funds the movies and the legends specifically to spread the idea that demons only want your soul. He calls it a distorted reality.
But he makes a wild claim about the actual practitioners. He says Catholic exorcists have a lifespan of no more than 15 years once they start the fight. He says they die of heart attacks or terrible tragedies because the rituals they use are too effective for people who aren't actually practicing the dark arts.
That is a massive, unprovable leap. They die because they use too much power? That's just convenient storytelling.
It's a way to validate the black magician as the only one who can handle the truth. But look at his nuance elsewhere. He does acknowledge that many of these demons are just egregorial entities or archetypes.
Right. He's not saying they're all literal monsters from a basement. He says they are different names for the same entities. He even compares the Christian demons to pests or goblins, minor tricksters who can do a small trick but can't cause real deep change.
He basically calls the demons from the Bible low-level pests. He says they're white goblins that can do a little poltergeist trick, but they lack the power of the true chaotic Kalifothic demons.
So, according to Koetting, the demons you're afraid of are actually just annoying house guests?
It's a fascinating reframe. He's stripping the terror away from the orthodox demons to make room for something much more dangerous. He's saying the real power isn't in the demons that want your soul, but in the ones that want to dismantle your reality.
It's a move of pure deconstruction. He's taking the scary out of the tradition to make the chaos feel more accessible.
But we have to look at how he handles the history. He brings up the idea that one person's god is another person's demon. He cites the idea that Astaroth is just a disguised version of the goddess Astarte.
And he immediately shuts down the historical argument. He says even if that's true, it's useless for magic.
Exactly. He argues that even if the etymology is the same, the nature is different. Astarte is passion and love. Astaroth is a great infernal duke of the learned sciences. He's saying the genealogy of the name doesn't matter, only the function of the entity in the ritual.
So it's not about where they came from, it's about what they do when you call them.
Which brings us right back to the architecture of command. If the names are just labels for functions, then the magician is the one defining the reality. So, we've been arguing about whether these entities are external beings or just psychological projections. But Koetting actually steps right into the middle of that debate here. He says that theorists might argue the demon is just created by the magician's mind or nourished by the power of belief.
The classic, it's all in your head defense.
Yeah, but look how he shuts it down. He says, regardless, the demon described is exactly the demon that appears when his name is called. And then this is the kicker. He claims that through ritual practice, you can learn more than 1,000,000 years spent in a library chair.
I mean, as someone who spends way too much time reading, I feel attacked. But he's making a point about experiential knowledge versus theoretical study. He's saying the ritual is the laboratory.
It's like saying you can read 1,000 cookbooks, but you don't know what a steak tastes like until you actually cook it.
Or until you burn the kitchen down.
Speaking of burning, he shifts gears now. He moves away from the heavy cosmic hierarchies of the Calliope and starts talking about something much more accessible: elemental spirits.
Oh, I love this part. He describes them as these forces in nature that connect the organism of nature on the astral plane and above. It's very much about finding the sacred in the physical.
He's basically saying the earth, the water, the wind, they aren't just dead matter. They have personalities.
Right. And he gives us a breakdown. He starts with fire. He links them to the salamanders. He says they can ignite passion and emotion, or even fury and aggression. He even says they can destroy obstacles in the evoker's path.
Sounds like a great way to ruin a relationship or a dinner party.
But look at the hierarchy. He says they are ruled by an elemental king jinns. There's a structure. Even the elements have a royal lineage.
And then he moves to water. He uses the term undines these water nymphs who look like beautiful young women, usually with bare breasts.
Of course, because even in a textbook on advanced occultism, we can't escape the male gaze.
Oh, hush, Jean. He's describing an archetype. He says they help with emotional maturity and even reproductive matters. And he links them to Neptune, so intuition and clairvoyance.
Okay, but wait. If the Undines are all about intuition and the Salamanders are about passion, what about the Earth spirits? The gnomes?
He gets very specific here. He says they are short, squat creatures from Norse and Scandinavian myth. And while they can boost your physical strength or mental endurance, the real reason people call them is, well, their power over the treasures of the earth.
Translation, call the gnomes if you want to get rich.
And he admits they are much less willing to give out large sums of money than angels or demons. So, even the earth spirits have a budget.
Exactly. They have their limits. But then we hit the air spirits, the sylphs. He says they look exactly like the fair ease you see in movies, beautiful, small, with wings and childlike faces.
He calls them innocent and sometimes even playful, though he warns they might be too much for a serious practitioner.
I can see that. A playful spirit sounds like a great way to end up with a localized tornado in your living room.
Actually, he says they can bring storms and hurricanes, or even the effect known as levitation. He says they are incredibly effective if you need to improve your mental characteristics or absorb complex ideas.
So, fire is for passion, water is for intuition, earth is for gold, and air is for...
That's a way to put it. But then he moves into something much more complex. He distinguishes between planetary spirits and planetary minds.
This is a really important distinction for the mechanics of the work. He says the spirits are the ones who act to change reality, the ones you call if you want quick and precise changes.
But the minds? They are the intellectual aspects. They hold the knowledge. He says, if the evocator needs information and not changes in reality, one should invoke the planetary mind.
So, the spirit is the muscle, and the mind is the library.
Precisely. And here's where he makes his most controversial claim yet. He says these planetary entities are even more ancient than the Kabbalah. They predate the Tree of Life itself.
Wait, so he's saying the stars and planets had these personalities before the whole Jewish, Christian, or even Greek religious systems even existed?
He does. He says the Chaldeans and Sumerians looked at the sky and assigned these powers to the planets, creating a system that would underpin all future religions. He's claiming a sort of primordial magic that exists beneath the surface of all organized religion.
It's a very foundational way of looking at the universe. It takes the pressure off the specific dogma and puts it back on the celestial mechanics.
It's a very convenient way to claim his method is the original one.
But then, the tone gets very heavy again. He moves to the spirits of the dead, and he goes into this whole discussion about how people perceive the deceased.
He talks about the good people becoming angels, and the villains becoming restless, malevolent shadows that continue their evil deeds in the subtle body.
That sounds exhausting. Just a whole planet of ghosts trying to reenact their worst moments.
He describes a middle ground, too. The victims of tragedy, the shadows that are trapped in a loop of their own suffering. He says they are echoes that we mistake for actual voices.
That's actually pretty bleak.
It gets darker. He says these aren't really spirits in the way we think. He calls them empty shells, the hollow shells of souls that once lived, without any purpose or direction. They are like a beam of light from a source that went out thousands of years ago.
That's such a haunting image. Just a lingering glow with no flame left inside.
And he says they aren't there to be helped. You can't help them find peace. You can only use them.
Right. He says they are real, but they are hollow. And because they are so empty, they will take any command, not only with joy, but even with greed.
So, you're not talking to a person. You're talking to a vacuum that's just waiting to be filled with your will.
And that is the definition of the architect we've been talking about. The magician isn't communicating with a peer. They are directing a void.
Honestly, I need a moment to process that void stuff before my brain melts.
Perfect timing, the Porvian food is here.